So guys, before I begin this next video, if you can, please like and please share this with others. I'd really appreciate it. And also, if you are thinking about going on a summer holiday this year, make sure that you check everything that you're taking with you in case you got something in there that can get you into trouble. So in this next news story, a British tourist is facing a long time in a Thai prison, up to 20 years after he was allegedly caught with a bag of coke hidden inside his passport by immigration staff. Jamie Louis Swain from North London arrived in Phuket in Thailand on an Etihad Airways flight just the other night. When he handed his passport to an immigration officer, the cop noticed a small plastic bag with white powder inside when flicking through the document to find an empty page to place the visa stamp. Officer said that Swain reacted with surprise. Obviously must have forgot that he was in there. Before he started swearing and shaking, prompting authorities to conduct further inspections and scanning his luggage. He was arrested at Phuket International Airport, where police tested the substance in his passport, and it was confirmed that it was just under half a gram of coke. Police Constable Pathongchu Damapongpong, Superintendent of Phuket Airport Immigration, said an immigration officer found the coke when she was checking the tourist passport. The suspect was charged with importing Category 2 narcotics into the country and possessing them. The suspect was then handed over to Sakhu Police Station for further legal action. Under Thailand's Narcotics Act, importing cocaine into the country carries a maximum jail term of 20 years to life and a fine of between £43,000 and £110,000. So guys, in this next news story, a man has been found guilty of the murder of a 63-year-old man in his Norwich flat after police discovered the body days after he visited. Theodore Lynch appeared at Norwich Crown Court today and was found guilty by a jury of the murder of Leslie Smith during a trial that had lasted just over 2 weeks. Lynch had denied murder and pleaded guilty to manslaughter. The body of Mr. Smith was discovered by police at a flat on Sunday the 17th of October 2021 when concerns were raised by a neighbour. Officers found Mr. Smith's body in a state of decomposition, which indicated that it had been placed there for some time, but was initially not thought to be suspicious. A coroner's post-mortem examination was undertaken, where concerns were raised the death may have not been accidental. A further Home Office post-mortem examination was then completed and identified that there was a fatal hemothorax, where an injury or other factors caused a collection of blood in the chest consistent with a penetrating wound having entered the front of the neck. Detectives from the Joint Major Investigation Team then launched an investigation into the death and identified that the most likely date of death was the 5th of October, days before the body was discovered. They linked Theodore Lynch to the death through CCTV, witness and digital inquiries, and he was first arrested on the 26th of October 2021 before being later charged with murder and is going to be sentenced tomorrow. I just want to say rest in peace, Mr. Smith, and my condolences go out to your family. And guys, in this next news story, a man who stabbed someone 38 times and inflicted 56 other knife wounds has been jailed for life for murder, GBH with intent, and possession of an offensive weapon, which was a kitchen knife. Tyrell James, who's 24, from High Wycombe, was convicted by a unanimous jury verdict of murder following a trial at Reading Crown Court, which concluded on the 27th of March. James will serve a minimum term of 31 years in prison for murder. He was also sentenced to 8 years for Section 18 wounding with intent and 1 year and 2 months for possession of an offensive weapon, which will run concurrently. James was further sentenced to a further 2 years imprisonment following an activation of a previous suspended sentence for Class A drug supply offences. This will be served concurrently. Carl Stanislaus, may he rest in peace, was 44 years old, was viciously attacked by James on the 5th of September 2023 before being left for dead beneath a disused railway bridge on the outskirts of High Wycombe, being discovered by a member of the public. The ferocious attack on Mr. Stanislaus resulted in 38 separate stab wounds and a total of 56 knife wounds about his head, neck, torso, and right leg. James had been in contact with Mr. Stanislaus just prior to his death and was placed at the scene by police and CCTV evidence. James was arrested on the 9th of September 2023 and was charged with murder on the 12th of September. Witnesses heard Mr. Stanislaus screaming and begging for his life as James launched his frenzied assault. The member of the public who discovered his body at just 9:50 in the evening tried to save Mr. Stanislaus' life administering CPR. However, sadly, Mr. Stanislaus was pronounced dead at the scene by ambulance crew. His cause of death was confirmed as catastrophic blood loss as a result of stabbing. Several months earlier, James had stabbed another man aged in his 30s in High Wycombe. This happened on the 27th of December 2022. The victim of this attack revealed several knife wounds but thankfully survived his injuries. James originally pleaded not guilty to this offence but changed his plea after the guilty verdict for Mr. Stanislaus' murder. Detective Chief Inspector Stuart Brangwyn of Thames Valley Police's Major Crime Unit said Tyrell James is an extremely violent individual who has killed an innocent man in Mr. Stanislaus and inflicted serious knife injuries on another victim some months earlier. Our investigation into Mr. Stanislaus' murder linked James to the scene of this vicious attack, but throughout all his police interviews, he answered no comment to all questions put to him. He showed no remorse for what he had done, and he denied any involvement in the murder in a pre-prepared statement. But after meticulous investigation, James accepted that he had little choice but to admit killing Mr. Stanislaus, but explicitly claimed he was acting in self-defence. This defence was implausible. The frenzied and ferocious nature of the attack was one of the worst I have seen, and there is no doubt that James intended to kill Mr. Stanislaus that night. Several months earlier, James stabbed another man in a completely separate incident, and he was under investigation for this when the murder took place. James is an extremely dangerous individual and will rightly serve an extremely long time in prison. At the conclusion of this case, I am mindful of the enormous impact this has had on Mr. Stanislaus' family. They've had to endure many months of pain while we investigate his murder, and I'd like to thank them for their patience and dignity and for putting their trust in our investigation. I know that no sentence will ever serve as solace for them. No family should ever have to go through what they have, but I hope that the fact we have brought James to justice will at least offer them some comfort and they can begin to move forward with their lives. James's course of action that night was violent in the extreme, and Thames Valley Police will relentlessly pursue to seek to prosecute those who carry knives. It is not and never will be acceptable, and my message is clear. Carrying knives will not be tolerated in the Thames Valley district. And guys, in this next news story, a 19-year-old man who used a machete to fatally injure his mother's partner has been jailed for 10 years. In the early hours of Wednesday, the 21st of December 2022, David Perry was violently assaulted by Rohan Daniels after the pair had argued over some missing baccy at the family home in Sittingbourne. Following the incident, Daniels, who was 18 at the time, fled the property, leaving his victim with multiple stab wounds. The emergency services were called to the house where Mr. Perry was confirmed deceased. I just want to say rest in peace, Mr. Perry. Condolences go out to your family. The investigation was launched by the Kent and Essex Serious Crime Director, and Daniels was arrested the following day. The CPS authorised a charge of murder against Daniels, to which he pleaded not guilty at Maidstone Crown Court, and following a trial, he was convicted of manslaughter. Daniel was sentenced yesterday. Investigating Officer Detective Constable Angela Khan of the Kent and Essex Serious Crime Directorate said this argument was over a minor issue, but Daniel's use of violence escalated the situation. He used a machete and it very quickly resulted in a man tragically losing his life. Daniel said he only had the machete on him due to his interest in bushcraft. However, his possession of such a dangerous weapon remains unsolved. His mother not only lost her partner on that day, but also her son, and now has to accept he is facing a lengthy prison sentence. I just want to say rest in peace to the victim. My condolences go out to his family. So guys, there's a number of news stories coming out the streets of the UK. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.